I would like to give you just a very quick background of what was the focus of these research papers. Basically, this publication is intended to be something about the skill needs, skills demand in the different countries and economies, both current and future demands of skills. Why we wanted to focus on that? This is the answer of that question, that we have several drivers of global changes. And all countries are affected by these changes. But we are going to talk about here on the impact of labor market. What I wanted to emphasize, don't forget that each global drivers of change is impacted by the other global drivers as well. So they are not happening in isolation. When something happens in climate change, at the same time, there is some other things happening on globalization, and they are interacting with each other. So when we analyze what would be the impact of climate change, we still ignore the interaction, the impact of interaction of other change factors with the climate change. So I want you to keep in mind that each change factor interact with the others. And this means that we are even in a more difficulty to forecasting future, because we can maybe make some assumptions of where artificial intelligence will go, but we don't know what things will happen in all other factors of change and how they will interact with each other. What we see so far as the impact of these change factors on the labor market, they can be summarized under 6 headlines. The first one is the job destruction. So destruction of the existing jobs, mainly due to the automation, but not only. Also in the developed countries, many jobs were destroyed because their production has shifted to the developing countries. So it's also outsourcing in the third countries, which is good for the third countries because they entered into the global value chains, production chains. The job destruction, automation at least, has been so far about routine jobs, which means that most of these jobs have been in the middle of the job scale. So those jobs, for example, in the production units, automotive sector, for example, industrial robots, we can see now in many manufacturing plants of the automotive. And it affected so far in the medium part of the skill scale, which means that many people with the medium level skills, their jobs have been destroyed, basically. Then the second one is changing tasks in the existing jobs. Job itself may not be disappeared, but some of the tasks within the job or occupation has been modified. Actually, we see that task content moves from the physical tasks towards more intellectual and social tasks. And it also increases the degree of the autonomy, teamwork. There is increasing adoption of ICT tools. As you know, for example, we have still engineers, electrical engineers, with the same profile of job, but electrical engineers now need to know also the way of electricity production from the renewable energy sources, which was not there before. The third impact is the emergence of new jobs. As you can imagine, these are activities linked to the application of new technologies. So jobs for data processing, for example. Now, in the past, we had just one job profile on that, statistician, that's it. Nowadays, we have data scientist, data analyst, big data specialist, database manager, data warehousing, all kinds of things with data analysis. As a result, we see this job polarization. What does it mean? There were more jobs destroyed in the middle of the professions, which requires generally upper secondary, post-secondary, and vocational education. But there was many more jobs created at the low-skilled jobs and very high-skilled jobs. So there was this polarization in terms of workers with different skill levels. For example, we have seen unprecedented growth of low-skilled jobs in cleaning, caring, catering, all these kind of areas. Some people say it's because there are many rich people now who can afford to have these services, or some others say that actually maybe it is because these middle level workers, they have all lost their jobs to, let's say, they were downgraded towards the bottom, while some of them could have managed to go up, which is also linked to the dramatic growth of high-skilled jobs, especially management-related jobs. We have now more managers than ever on everything, also the STEM occupations. Part of this is this fifth change impact, which is called segmentation of knowledge work. This is actually, some people called it digital Taylorism. It is applying for this production system into the knowledge work. So we see now more stratification of knowledge between conception and execution. So we have now very privileged high-level knowledge workers who are generally graduated from top universities across the world, who are designing the concepts and the main developing the conceptual work, and then all other still university graduates, well-educated but normal ones, who are executing these roles, basically. And this means that the difference among them has been increasing. Fragmentation was increasing, so as the wages. It is no longer the same wage for all high-skilled which means that university graduation or higher education is no longer the only security for the people to find the jobs. And as a result, of course, we also see changing patterns of employment. The rise of non-standard employment, new business model of the digital economy, more temporary employment, remote work, teleworking, flexible work, but also kind of Uberization for every kind of task. So we are now hired and paid by the tasks instead of by stable jobs. I just wanted to say that we are even seeing more now with the arrival of AI. Some people see that it's an angel, which will be solution for everything. Some others say it's a devil. We don't know yet. We will see in the future what will be. But I see that it's very important to keep in mind how AI will develop. I mean, what is the socioeconomic and political environment in which AI will develop? Because the decisions will be impacted by what we see around the whole global environment, basically. The arrival of AI, especially, generative AI, with, you may have heard about ChatGPT 2, 3, 4, now we are arriving to 5, and all these new models of AI, what was not possible before, which is the automation of high-skilled jobs, now it is possible, which means that actually in the past, high-skilled workers were safer compared to the other workers because it was about automation was about the routine jobs, but it is no longer the case. Automation can also happen with cognitive jobs. If I have to give you one example, in the medical sector, recently I saw this article in the ResearchGate that actually now AI, by analyzing all the medical information available, digitized, in the digital world, they can give a very high quality advice compared to the physicians. This is about absolute medical knowledge, analyzing existing medical knowledge and giving you that you may have this and you can have this kind of advice. But what is new is that recently, apparently, there is also improvement in AI to create empathy when they do this task of medical advice. So their effectiveness in terms of providing empathetic answers have been increasing as well. What is really happening here is that we are having mismatches everywhere, in both developing countries, developed countries, emerging economies, everywhere. But it's a very strange situation because there is increasing level of education among the young generations, but they are not finding good jobs for themselves. At the same time, we have several vacancies remaining open and employers cannot really find the right workers. And there is a cost for this skills mismatch. For individuals, there is a cost. For employers, there is a cost, but overall also for countries. So there is also, everyone says, you must have heard, increasing need for upskilling and reskilling. And there has been several EU policy responses, for example, twin transition, digital transition, and green transition. I think this is like a very good example of what we can do as policymakers to these changes happening at global level, whether we do something or not, it doesn't matter. They will happen anyway. But we have to do something. So basically, in this environment, we wanted to have more information from our partner countries. What are their skill needs? And how can we reduce the skills mismatch? And that was the whole original reasoning of making a call for papers.